nasimangna yano amana chadingon ama khap ni guman nasimangna agana ni budak nasinga.
The two scripture portions just read to us is also refers about the cup.
Ye sastra mangani bakramoni ko poraya kacham wa sastra ni bakramo achana khap ni guman ba jana pani guna.
Cup is very symbolic in our life.
Ya khap para achana din thang mancha chil kita ma.
Cup is primarily what we drink from.
Ya khap pani ko achan roma.
But cup also symbolizes what we take.
Aru ya khap para mai ko achan daka ukoba besok thaya.
Cup also symbolizes our character.
Aru ya khap para achani kham cholon bewal ko ma besok thaya.
Our choices.
Aru achani basira ani ram.
Cup also symbolizes the contents inside.
Aru achani ko maira ko nga wara ko ba besoka.
And this morning I would like to share with you the cups that Jesus was talking about.
Ya prengo Jisu je khap ni gumanan agani ngacham ya ko nga nasimangna agana na namdekena.
Before that, I would like to tell you a true story.
Ya ognas khang agana nasimangna chomot ko ba golpo ko agana namdekena.
You heard the name of Socrates,
Socrates ni bimuko nasimang nahan yang bebera.
the great Greek philosopher.
Aru ara da big Greek philosopher ngacham.
He lived around 470 to 399 BC.
Wa ba dulsirang naskam wa jangi sangaha.
And it was the height of the Athenian hegemony. It was the height of the Athenian culture and their roots.
Wa somai matugo je culture agan namen duwe aga sa pamapon sa son kagada uyacham wa sa songo wa jangi sangacham.
And you know that these two states, Athens and Sparta, they are always in conflict.
Aru again
Athens and Sparta, they are always in conflict.
Athens aru Sparta yang mangara pang nandagin nang tenggerkan irang kemacam.
But Socrates was known for his contribution into ethics.
Ya Socrates sana dengtang baca jangi tanganyo je niam rangkon dakencem warang ona bang dakcakan irang kon gebang macam.
He had anti-democratic view. He was not compatible with democracy.
Aru again jenmarang ni sason ka ani kude wa nam negja ba demokrasi omani kude wa nam negja.
So he was called for trial before 500 Athenians.
Ini man rechabonga Athenians rangni mukhango wa dengtang mancan nake dakenian ina okamata ni ko manaha.
There are two accusations against him.
Yana manggani bini ko sa ko matlangi agana ni rangganang.
One accusation was he refused to accept all the Athenians' gods recognized by the state.
Sekarang baura wa ya Athenians rangni isol ko bini jegalani kuman ogiacham.
And the second thing, he was against the corruption of the young people.
Aru ni kan chadam merangni namen nege corruption omani ya lakabarangni kuman wa aganacham.
So because of his anti-democratic view, he was called for trial by democracy.
Aru nege wa anti-democracy omani kuman before ya demokrasi before the tham mancha nege dakenian irang patakaha.
So out of 500 people who stood there for the trial, so he lost with 220 votes against 280 votes.
Walakin yana dakenian yo bini ko sakol siani ko manaha arwa amjaha ya dakenian yo.
So his penalty was also decided in the same way that in a democratic way.
Aro ji sastikon wa manananggen jam dugo ba jenman wa ko basiaha.
And because he lost in 220 votes, so the death penalty was on him. He got 220 votes against 280.
Ya wa rechagni
280 votes against 280.
rechagni ko ya rechagni societoni rechagni ko san bayani kuman yano biya chejaha.
So basically, when it is done in democratic way, so he was compelled to take the death penalty on him, as he has been, giving the death penalty to himself.
Aru yano chejani kuman biara antana siani ko rabagda ongiyacham siani sasti ko manani gada ongiyacham.
And the penalty was that he had to drink from a cup. the poison.
Aru ya bina sasti onaniara ya khaponi bisiko biar nang gencem.
So it was a very pathetic state that he has to swear the death penalty against him by using in a democratic way and drinking from the cup that is filled with poison.
Walge yano ya je susani ko nakacem yano cepa jahani kuman je sasti ko ya bisiko biar nang nakacem ya ko mani mukamo ya ko dakna namaha.
We are talking about the cups of Jesus Christ.
Lalu ancam Yesuni rencana apa khap ni kuman ancam.
I am sharing with you the 3 cups that Jesus had primarily taken on himself.
Ya semuanya mengetahui khap ramni kuman je kon kriya Yesus Kristus raha ko anga akanatna.
The first cup is the cup of indignation or the wrath of God.
Ya sekarang kita khap para isoli khao nang be aniko manani.
It is a hatred mixed with anger.
Ya namen siani aro khao nangani baksa breng kuman khap pengacem.
The wrath of God was hatred mixed with anger.
Isoli khao nangani ara ya namen siani aro khao nangani yang gap pengacem.
This was the fate of all of us, of all the wicked people in the world.
Anjing gemar dan ya sang nak apa anjing orang mana?
As we read John chapter 3 verse 18, verse 36, it talks about the wrath of God, destiny of the unbelievers, of all of us.
Anjing
John chapter 3 verse 16 and verse 36.
Johan orang ketam pot
Chapter 3 verse 3.
pot cicet atau pot kalau cicok pun anjing porai oleh isoli ya bebe lagi jaga barang nak kau nangani ko aru amang ni man gini ni kemen jana pani ko anjing neken.
It talks about the cup of the wicked.
Aru ya non anjing ni nanangi ko ba kap ni kemen ba ya non jana pingan.
Charles Spurgeon talks about this cup, the cup of indignation or the wrath of God. He talks about this cup, saying that God holds a very fiery cup in his hand, prepared for the wicked, which is up to the brim. It's filled.
Charles Spurgeon yang kap ni kemen nanti ada ni macam isoli kau nangani ko yang kap ruaha और यह खाप पूरा उन्हीं खाओ ना आने रखूँ ना सोकेन बना खापानी को यह नो जाना पीना चल.
And when Jesus was talking about it,
जिसु यानी कि मना अगर इंगोन
he was talking about this cup.
यह खाप नी कि मना जिसुरा अगर इंगा चल.
He was identifying the color of wine and the color of blood.
यह नो निंगा पंचे गपोक रोंग और बिसम रोंग नी कि मन बा यह नो जाना पीना चल.
The word of God is filled with the wrath of God that has to come upon people.
यह इसोनी खाओ ना गानी यरा यह मंदिरम नी को सको ना नंगा.
Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 12 says, "The time has come, the day has arrived. Let not the buyer rejoice nor the seller grieve, for my wrath is on the whole world." Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 12.
Gini yang lagi agana, semua sokaha, sang sipangaha, breakba kaca jacina, aro palgba kalam jacina, maina cincagba kau nangani, wamangni, mandi gemakni kosako onga.
Throughout the scripture, there are many references that talks about the wrath of God on the multitude.
Aro anige tachina sasruni bakrango, ya isoli kau nangani mandi mani kosako ngani rako anchina janapa.
The Jews tried to run away from the wrath of God.
Jihudirang isoli kau nangani khatna kada wamang joton ka.
But it was all in vain.
Aro yarang gemak dan ongramai ni onga.
They brought so multitudes of sacrifices to the temple.
Wamang bidan datang la boli onani rako, wamang thorong nokton rako napa.
30 years later of Jesus' time, the historian Josephus, he reports about one of the Passover sacrifices.
Aro anige gede Yesus Kristus ni zamano ya Joseph इतिहास को सेरा कपा Josephus या मंगसा ayaw man pagkapa boli onani hindi kemen jana pani ko naginga.
He records in one of the Passover, there were 2,56,000 lambs were sacrificed.
Sangsa
2,56,000.
Laktani hadal sopunga dok mes franco sangsano boli onaniko wano janapa.
And when these 2,56,000 more or less were sacrificed every year, even in the time of Jesus and before the time of Jesus, Jesus had seen how these lambs were, innocent lambs are sacrificed in the temple.
Aru yang kita mang mes franco wamang boli onanangoba Jisu akan ingacam nibo barita wamang ya boli onanirangko wamang dakaha.
You can imagine that the temple courts are filled with blood.
Nasimangya Thorom nokni sararamo anchi swakatani ko anchum sanchiat namangget.
After the lambs are slaughtered on the altar,
Wamang ya bolio ya mes pirarangko mes pisarangko getok raso tadi zamano yarang ongaha.
and from the altar, there was a channel to the brook of Garo.
Arwanigen ya gansioni wamangara ya dige jokam nagada donguman biap nomacam rama nomacam.
And all the bloods they drained away from the temple to the brooks of Garo.
Arwanigen Kedron siona jokam nagada yara donguman rama ganangcam.
It was the night before Jesus was arrested. He walked through the brook of Garo.
Aru Jisu Kristo ko rupani walo rupnas kam walo Jisu ya Kedron sibi makon wa basotang hacham.
It was the time of Passover.
Aru wa somoy ara wa changani angani ogya.
And the brook in Garo must be filled in red in color and blood.
Aru ya Kedron sibi mara namen anchichi kapatako manani kaman gechak chikba biap omna nangacham.
The wrath of God, that is the cup that Jesus was taking.
Aru yang isoli kau namani ko ya kapo gede Jisu Kristo ra ingacham.
And Jesus was going to take this cup on him as he was crossing the brook of Garo.
Aru ya Kedron ni sibi mako sirko bakso tangingon gede Jisu ya isoli kau namani ko ra na wari angacham.
The prophetic words of John the Baptist when he saw Jesus Christ first time.
Johan napolat keba Jisu ko skangko chamna nako yako aganaha.
He told his disciple, "Look at the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world."
Iwanibo isoli mes pisa agasakti pam franco rangapa.
Looking at the brook of Garo filled with red in color, Jesus must have realized the time has come that I have to take up this cup.
Ya Kedron siyoliko anchichi gechak kebakon kon Jisu isko chanching na badonga anga ya isoli kau nangani kapor gani sa sokaha.
The time has come that the lamb has to be sacrificed.
Aron again sumoy sokaha jiyon isoli mes bisako boli onna nangani umaha.
And when Jesus takes up this cup,
Jen sanu Jisu ya kapora
and the cross, Matthew only records that Jesus cried out in a loud voice and said, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani."
Matthew mabang yako jana paniko ansingi istragen yako ngani zamano Jisu Kristo gabe iskaha Eli Eli lama sabachthani.
My God, why have you forsaken me?
Angni sol maina ko at kalaha.
Because Jesus was taking up the wrath of God on him.
Mane wa kau nangani ko Jisu astangora kalaha.
Jesus was disconnected from the fellowship of God.
Isol maksa pakramauni wa mai katani ko mataha.
The brim that the cup that was filled to the brim with the wrath of God, that was of Jesus Christ.
Isoli kau nangani kapo swakani ara gede Jisu Kristo sa umaha.
Jesus said,
Jisu kana
Can you, what are you asking? Can you take the cup that I am going to take?
Jisu amang na kana nasi mangmai ko amani nga jekap ko nangar nasi ajam nasi mangkur naman genma.
Matthew chapter 20 verse 22.
Matthew ore kodret ni pot kodret ni o ya ko akana.
Jesus said, "You do not know what you are asking."
Nasi mangmai ko akani nga uko nasi mang wija.
Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?
Anga jekap ko rena sieng ajam wa kap ko nasi mang rena man genma.
Without knowing, they said, "Yes, we are able."
Aru mamang ko wijan wa ma kana koe chingaman gen.
His disciple must have realized the cup that Jesus was talking about. cup that Jesus was talking about when Jesus said, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani.
Okay. Ya cup para Jisuni akan ingko para Eli lama sabachthani o angni son mainang kuat kalaha.
He was taking the cup of indignation.
Isoni kau nang peani chakaniko warngaha.
The cup that is filled with wrath of God.
Aru ya kau nanganiara isoni kau nanganji dapat kuman kapo macam.
The second cup.
Ini kebat cup.
In fact, the second cup has few cups on it. The second cup also has few cups.
Gini kebat cup pa adida cup rang kenal.
Primarily, we can signify this cup as the cup of suffering.
Ya gini kebat cup para mungsong bateri asin pun kataman gen ya cup para namen saknanci swagat kebat kapat aku man kebawah.
While taking up the cup of indignation, the wrath of God, Jesus also has accepted the cup of suffering.
Ya isoni kau nang beani cup pura aon Jisuara saknani cup koba biara cakaha.
The cup of suffering is a bitter cup. It is bitter in taste.
Ya saknani cup para namen cup beani namgizani cup kebawah.
One of the practices of the Passover meal to have the bitter herbs along with the meal.
Ya wacangani alani yo manianyo chani munsara wano kabe kepa chani rangko wamang chapnagada namacam.
They would have unleavened bread, then they would have the cup of wine, while they would also have a bitter herb, the lamb and the meat of the lamb and the bitter herb along with the Passover meal.
Aruanake wamang wantigri ba pita ko aruanake ben ko arun baksana ya kabe kepa chani rangko mang chana namacam.
Yahweh commanded Moses, then when you come out of Egypt, when I lead you out of the Egypt, you must have this Passover meal to remember the day.
Isol wamang na Mosena lintang macalget aniko na nasimang jen salo Egypt ni okat baon nasimang wan sangko gisip ada kada ya wacangani alko alaniko malibo.
The Passover was the prototype of the salvation.
Ya wacangani alaniara jokat aniko mesok swali macam.
But Yahweh wanted to remind them that salvation is not going to be easy, and you should not forget the salvation was not a easy process. The Passover coming out of Egypt was not an easy process.
Jokat aniara cina alcuba unjang aru ini Egypt poni joke kata ngalima alcuba unjang ya cina yano bisegrata niko dengar.
Do not forget the sufferings.
Kemudian saknani ko mamung sarabal buang nabe.
In Exodus chapter 12 verse 8 and Numbers chapter 9 verse 11 says, you take this Passover meal, but along with the Passover meal, you must have the bitter herb to remind you of the sufferings that you have gone through. Exodus chapter 12 verse 8 and Numbers chapter 9 verse 11. Yes.
Surat Riau kata orai cigini podcast
Numbers 9:11.
Hanali orai school podcast kisah ya ramo nana men rongthali agaliga ya jen salo nasimang ya chaani rangko ya rangko giskraingon ya watsangani alani ko giskraingon nasimang ya ko pangnan dapna kada nanggen.
The second cup is cup of suffering.
Gini kepa khap para yan saknani khap honginga.
Mixed with all kind of agonies, and that is to the extreme.
Pak saknani rang yan ayaw man pagkaban tubay kepa saknani rang ko janapinga.
The first cup of suffering is the cup of betrayal.
Skam kepa khap ni saknani rang wan anjingko ongkijarake pak palei chani saknani yan honga.
The cup of suffering that comes with the cup of betrayal, which is in exchange of a kiss.
Ya je saknani khapan wajam wara palei chaniyo saknani ko matnaniya nonginga.
His own disciple who comes and kisses him.
Aru ini angkang senenggaban unona rebaing bana uko kudumyaha.
And he kisses him for the exchange of 30 pieces of silver.
Arwa uko kudumania aselara mainawa angkang gong kolat chiko ramanaha.
Can you imagine that a close friend of you who deceives you for his personal or her personal gain?
na nage chanchiat na mangen ma dia nangni nambe pa ro sifang pat ka barpeng bini antangni namgiri ni kuman biya mai ku badaken bana namni ko sako pang pani ko.
How would you and I both, if I have to go through that kind of experience in our life with somebody visiting us, who is close to us, known to us, been with us, it is us.
Sekarang main ke yana antuni disco dakar yang ba disco chanci yang ke sama antuni namen sepang kepa aro antuku vibe kepa aro antuni khadong sakna man kepa nanti ba nanti kursa ko main baraken bana nangku galone galaha.
John chapter 18 verse 1 to 11 it talks about the cup of betrayal, the act of Judas.
Johan orai cicet ni pot sao ni
chapter 18 verses 1 to 11.
Pot cisauna, orai cicet ni pot sao ni cisauna, Judas saram main ke biko phale cahacam, yani keman anseng disegrafkan.
We do not need to read the whole verse, but we can understand this episode that Judas, while Jesus got up from praying, and his disciple Judas comes with people with swords and lanterns, and he comes forward and kisses on the face of Jesus back.
Ya ko anseng ikatinga, ya ko anseng gumak ko porena nangdoa, andiba jen salo ya ko maha Judas sara uni pengiran baksa rebaha, aro Jisu ko ga heo kudumia ha.
The suffering of Jesus was to the extreme that his own disciple who would betray him in exchange of showing love.
Ya somoyo, ya Jisu ni ringani kampni satana diara, uni antangni senegapa jian biko udemachi bina katsani ko mesopa dakacem.
Unless someone go through the experience, they will never understand.
Sawayan nakaba sam nakaba neklikani ko mandas kalde ansin yani tuani ko masisok tawa.
These days there are a lot of stories because I work with the India Mission Coordination, American Baptist India Mission Coordination Committee, and we have a department of anti-trafficking.
Ama American Mission Baptist Society baksa kam ka aro anagen singo anti-trafficking yaba guano singo isa department genam.
We hear about lots of cases that a lady and man they run away and the lady finally finds herself in a brothel and then realizes that she was betrayed.
Aro anagen wamang bechegram dege maibani unga dakar kanira unga aro anagen sekeparo jukepani bise ko maiban ekde kanira unga aro ko thamole wamang ko phale chakaba biapona wamang ga kanira mona sokani ko pangen nakabarang ko chunga kunara.
A person who goes through that experience can understand what is betrayal.
Aro yan nakaba obo sao ga ko mandiram sa mai ko nang ko phale chahacham.
You may be raising disciples, but your disciples may be competing among themselves to take up your position.
Nakmo sning barang dong na barunga, di ba sning barang ni jamchio wa mangara position ko manna kada ba dalgaba mani na wa mangi gise ko na men dakar kanirang dongeng na barunga.
They will doing things behind you.
Wa mang nakni janglo mai ko barang dak na barunga.
Sometimes you do not know what your children are doing behind you because you are putting yourself so much of them in their lives to give them your best, but maybe they are not the way that they are growing up.
Basa ko beri ansuni nedrang-rang ansuni janglo mai ko dakinga ansung wija ansung wa mangna simsakani pasani aru wa mangna namani ko dakna kada zoton ka ni wa janglo de wa mang mai ko dakken bana dongska.
And here the betrayer was kissing Jesus so that he can hand over, identify who Jesus is and tell these people, take him away.
Ya somayo Judas ni Yesus ko kudema niara ini phale sani onga. Jadi nanga kudema bukan mangai bojong ni akan ni sinalong ni acam.
Matthew chapter 26 verse 55.
Maki orai kogeto pot bunga.
Later deceives Jesus Christ to hand over to the people, to hand over the people.
Ya phale sakabara Yesus ko puna pen bana ukor bangchina uko phalani ko acam disekraken.
Very often people talk about the kiss of Judas.
Mga sumayan mandirang ya Judas ni kudemani berbakan.
It's a lesson. It's a lesson for us.
Aru yan ansana sekian ni wama.
Jesus had to take up the cup of betrayal.
Jishwara ya phale chani kham ko bara nanga.
I want to tell you a story.
아나 스파나 골 포문 사포 하나 남는다.
It's a true story again.
아루야라 정말 그거 같다고 못해요.
It's a story during the Second World War.
Yan gini ba dapat sumoyo at sa kumak ni dapat yung kuba sumoyo kaya jam.
There was a missionary called Alfred Sack.
Alfred Sack kung ba mandi saksa missionary gnang jam.
And he was in the Gilbert Islands. He was in the Gilbert Islands.
War Gilbert Islands kuba kaya jam.
When the Japanese came to his island, they asked all the people to stand up.
제사로 자파니스와 지차문화를 bahang walo pangkon sadeng China
So the war was between the America and the Japanese.
Ya dapat kaniara American ram arwan gen Japanese ni gise pongia chum.
Sad was a missionary. Sad, his name is Sad. He was a missionary. Alfred Sad was a missionary.
Alfred Sack kara missionary macam.
He was not in army.
Wara army oni ongda chum.
So all the Americans who were asked to stand up along with the missionary, Sad was also along with them.
Wano plak American ram ko siper ko sadeng na kanon alfai ko wa yubab yapo sadeng ata ni ko manaha.
So they called up Sad and they spread the Union Jack on the ground. They called up Sad and they said, you have to walk on this Union Jack. Their flag, American flag.
Wa yano ke tapon sadeng aton wa bang yani ko sa kuna simang ri na nang genen bana wa bang nang get ani ko na.
So Sad started walking towards the Union Jack.
Aro wanigen sek yano Union Jack ko na riyam na pa singa ha.
And as he came close to the Jack, he turned to his right. He turned to his right.
Wa nona so pon wa ram sanan wa jakara china tuna ba singa.
So one chance was missed.
Ring man skam wa chance te wa manza.
They asked him to walk again.
Waro gnik ba changna re khai china kana ha.
And then when he came towards the Jack, the flag, again he walked to the left.
Jen salwa flag kona re ba te wa gnik ba changna jakasi chisa re yak ha.
They finally called him and told him that you have to walk on the flag.
Aro bun kame de ko kana ha na simang ya flag on re chomon na nang gen.
He came closer to the flag.
Aro flag ni se pangona re ba ha.
He held the flag in his hand.
Aro flag ko ni japo ra ha.
He put it up on his hand and then he kissed the flag.
Aro again japo ra en bano ya flag ko kunuma ha.
He was in the middle.
Wara chang siong ya chum.
They told all of them to stand up.
Aro ma kon sadeng china kana ha.
They had guns in their hands.
Wa mangi japo slai rang ganam chum.
And this time Sad was a missionary. He came forward. He was not in the front. He came forward so that he can lay down his life first before other army members died.
Aro again slide ching wali ko manna ya jay kara ya flag ko ra ken bana umak ni mukhangona re ba ha. Je na pori wa darang na skangan wa so tani ko man gen chum.
The cup reminds us to be faithful.
Ya kampara ching ko paket tongchina bebe tongchina nisda na yong.
Judas sold Jesus Christ for 30 pieces of silver.
Judas किसी को था बोला चीना फला हा.
Sad couldn't walk on the Union Jack.
या Union Jack को सही तरह रियाना मनगेन चम.
But he chose to be faithful.
दिवावा या ना फकेट तोंगना कदा वानंग कहा.
Jesus said, "Can you drink from the cup that I am about to take?"
Anga ya जी खापोन रन्ना सिएगा सिमंग या खापोनी को रन्ना मनगेन ला.
He was talking about the cup that the Father has given him.
ये खापोन पागो ना ना जब या खापनी गुमन जिशु आगानेगा.
And the cup was connected with his prayer in Gethsemane.
या खापरा जिशुनी गेत्सेमनी बारियो बियानियो यारा सन नगरमानियो मचम.
Jesus accepted Father's will firmly and calmly and moved towards the fulfillment.
예수 그리스도 방법이 남는가니고 와라 착하하 아로 again ya 주소가다니나 와 남면 찍게 와래 목방하니고 나가하.
The cup of suffering is also the cup of denial.
या 사프나니 카파라 제착하니 카파마.
It was another difficult cup that it was added into Jesus' suffering.
Yan Jishuni Mungapa Namen Rachamnam Gizatapa Rampegapa Kapni Dologi Acham.
The episode about this cup is recorded in the same chapter of John 18, verses 25 to verses 15 to 27.
Ya Kapni Guman, Johanore Chichetni, Pot Chigomani, Kodak Siniona Jol Jol Janapanico and again.
Jesus was dragged to the court of high priest.
Ishwara ya Kamanda, Kapani Sarauna, Salanganiko Manaha.
But he was taken to Anna first.
Was kang about it, Anauna, Rumanganiko Manaha.
Anna was the high priest.
Anna was Omoyo, high priest Somiachum.
And it was the time when Quirinius was the governor of Syria.
Arwas Omoyo de Quirinius Sara, Syriani governor of Miachum.
And when Jesus was taken before Anna,
Jensalo Anani Makamona Jishuko Rumanganiko Manaha.
Peter stood outside of the door.
Jishwara Pitora Apollo was having a jump.
The first denial is recorded here.
Ariano Skang about the Jishuko Zegalaniko Yano Janapa.
The same Peter who said, Lord, I will never leave you, I will never forsake you. Now, Peter was standing outside of the door.
Ya, Sang Pitoran, Gede Laman ako Mamang Salomo Watjawa, Aru Mamang Salomo Watkal Jawan, Juba Mandian, Ya, followed out Chading a jump.
In verse 17 says, are you not the one also this man's disciple?
Nana Mandini Snigaba Saksa Jama, and it Torkus Naha.
Yes, God, that asked Peter.
Aruya Michik Visa, Pitorkus Naha.
And she knew that if he asked Peter, how Peter is going to react.
Aru Naminakan Ya Michik Visa Via, Via Yapos Mole, Pitor, Maitaki Yana, Avan Chakincha Bukovo Via.
The girl was expecting that Peter would affirm that yes, I am also this man's disciple.
Aruya Michik Visa, Pitor, where Mama will listen about money, Avan Chakin, Katongiachum.
You know, very recently you might have come across about the persecution taking place in different parts of India.
Ya, Samsung Meramo, India ni Lintam, Biaframo, Namen Arpegaba, Biafranco, Nova Satromaha.
Just last week, over 112 or 30 believers in Assam, they went back to their primal religion.
Ruth Pija Somaran Sam, Asamo, Chasa, Kolachi, Bomama. The
time may be going to come that where people are going to ask, are you not a believer? Are you not a Christian? Are you not a follower of Jesus Christ? What do you say? Our country is going in a very difficult situation. You know, one of the countries that is going through severe persecution in the world now is the country of Nigeria. Within few years, more than 60,000 Christians, believers have lost their life because of their faith. More than 60,000. There are mass killings, there are kidnapped and then killed. The time may be coming in India that they are going to be asked, and there are many places people are asked, are you not a follower of Jesus Christ?
Somayre ibainga jensalo India somo nara Jisu Kristo ko jarika pa mama yan chikus ani ramba ibana singa.
Peter who said, no, I will not be, but he said, no, I am not.
Peter ara anga Jisu ko jarika pa ungani agan ani pa anga ko jarika pa ujani agan chakaha.
Peter portrayed himself as an innocent bystander.
Peter ara thampo namen dos kripa. Verse
25 says, I am not. Peter, a person like Peter, where Jesus called him that Petra, he had expected that Peter would be the strongest person, he is the senior person, but Peter also failed.
Pitor ko Petra ba roong brak niya kana maniman ya pitor ko na namin blak pa onggen ni chan chem ni ba biya ba gupan na kadan napsanok paya.
This is the cup of denial.
Yan jisakani kapongya cham.
The cup of denial did not end there.
Ya jisakani kapariyanon mo nai haumja.
Peter was asked again, "Did I not see you in the garden with him?"
Angan angko ya bariyo nangko apsan nagja chamma.
Peter was not expecting that another person would ask him that, "Yes, you were with Jesus Christ."
Na Jisu Kristo baksa apsan wa bariyo ngani nanggen diwa mamung sarwa sanchi cham.
Did I not see you when you cut the ear of Malchus?
Angan angko ya Malchus kaya lokol ni nachal ko den panga ko angan nagja chamma.
Peter was in another situation there.
Peter yano menggaban sakromani ko manaha.
And immediately we see that the rooster cried after Peter's denial 3 times.
Ya sangatamna jekalani jamanode yo pipa isikali ko atin isikratke.
How is our situation going to be now?
Atini ohosara man ke umnasina.
It was a very difficult situation for Jesus Christ when Peter was one of his closest disciples who said, "No, I will not leave you, I will not deny you, I will not forsake you." He denied 3 times.
Peter orang macam ongja, angan aku jegal jawa, angan aku watkal jawa. Ini bawa sangatam nak ke Yesus Kristus ko jegal sa.
The cup of suffering is also the cup of rejection.
Ya sapnani khap para jegalani khap ma.
There are many facts and incidents that are related to Jesus taking up the cup of rejection.
Yano ancang baka ayat chokmot ko Jisuni ya sapnani ko manani jegalani rang ko ancana jana panirang kenam.
And the cup of rejection was not just from the human beings, not the multitude are following, but also the cup of rejection was from God.
Ya jegalani khap para mandir angoni san omaija aro dengan gupun angoni san omaija diba isolo diba yara diba.
Luke records that it is his sweat that fell into the ground like blood.
Luke ko nake jana pani ko anchal ka wali dikol rangara anchi kita tintote auna ga pani ko anchana jana pa.
Jesus was not praying to Abba Father, save my life, but he was asking Abba Father, is it possible that you can take away this cup? The cup was the cup of rejection, because when God was going to sacrifice Jesus on the cross, the relationship would have been broken there.
Yeshua ya ko aganinga ya biari ko bienga ya khap ko amoni ko rambo ungna ko ne rambo ne Yeshua aganinga diba isoli namdekani baksa ya sok sinani wa tangko nani ko antung iskrati.
Medical science that certify this is the phenomenon of hematosis of this experience. It when your sweat turns into blood.
Ya medically ya ko nakaba proof khani ko rakta ya dikolara ya dikolara anchika okadani ko ansana dara pani ko ansana iskrata.
It is an extreme experience that Jesus knew that he was going to take up the cup of rejection.
Ya namen pe pa jegalani ko